What's going on, guys? Thanks for coming to America First Perspective. Hope you guys are having a blessed night. We are reacting to Nick Fuentes' recent rant that he went on, which I agree with, that we need to defeat the left. Even though both sides suck, the left, unfortunately, can never be in power because they are crazy. Anyways, we're going to react to this 20-minute clip. Let me know how you guys are doing. Let me know if there's anything you want me to react to in the future. Let's get it.
Storming the building like Rainbow Six. Marching them out, it's awesome. And my question is, why can't we do this to the entire country all the time? Like, why can't we do this to the South Side? I love it. But here's the problem. Trump is becoming extremely belligerent. ICE is becoming extremely belligerent. They're not even deporting a lot of people. They're doing these very big, sophisticated, complex raids, and they get like 30 people. That's not a lot. Understand.
I've been saying this since the beginning. We need to be very much more radical when it comes to immigration. These people are still voting in our elections. They're still committing crimes. They are still getting free resources off our taxpayer funds. Not to mention all the other crap the government spends our money on other countries and their wars. These people are cashing out on our hardworking taxpayer dime, and they need to go. Simple as that.
In order to do anything meaningful with deportations, we need like 10,000 people to leave every day for 4 years, okay? To even roll back the clock to 2020, before Joe Biden got into office with the illegal immigrant population, we need roughly 10,000 people to leave every day for the next 4 years. And we're not even close. We're talking like 800 per day. And so they'll raid an apartment complex with 200 guys and they make 30 arrests. That's nothing. But I like the visuals. I like the energy. I like that on some level, they might be triggering some self-deportations. Certainly many illegal immigrants are in hiding right now. And they're having a problem with plumbers, carpenters. They're having a problem with truck drivers because illegal immigrants, they worry about being deported. And at a certain point, there's going to be an economic incentive for them just to leave. If they can't go out and work, then they're going to go home. And honestly, that's how it should be. Why should you be able to get a driver's license and a job and drive to work every day? You have no legal standing in the country, and we just tolerate that. The incentives need to be turned around because that's really what it is. If you're poor in any country, there is just a giant green flag. Come on in, get a job, get Section 8, get food stamps, get the finest healthcare in the world.
Also, not to mention, all these billions we send to all these other countries comes out of our taxes, obviously. And they get free everything from our taxpayer funds. Why can't the government pass a bill, since they're sending billions overseas, every week, every month, regardless, probably at least $1 trillion every year they send in financial aids overseas. Why can't they just spend a couple billion on the American people, almost like a tax? Here you go for the government screwing you over your whole life. You're a law-abiding citizen. Here you go. Here's 10 grand. But they can't even do that because they suck and they're not America first.
And you really have nothing to worry about because it's like no one's going to arrest you. No one's going to remove you. You're one of those hardworking ones that's making America great. So the incentives need to be flipped where people say, yikes, I don't want to be in America with no legal standing because I could be removed at any time. Good. Here's the problem. So they set up these detention centers in Portland and in Chicago, two very liberal cities. And they're doing these very belligerent actions, marching Border Patrol in full uniform through the city, doing these highly publicized raids with fixed-wing drones, helicopters. They're terrorizing the population. It's deliberate. And by that, all I mean is they're being visible. They want the illegal population to know that they're looking for them. That's part of creating the disincentive. But of course, what is happening in these very liberal cities? The left is responding. They're reacting. So the left is mobilizing at these detention centers with protests. And the protests are getting very rowdy and unruly and bigger. And the activists are also sounding the alarm about ICE. When they see an ICE vehicle drive through the streets, they're following the ICE vehicle, honking their horns, hanging out of the window to alert the illegals, hey, get out of Dodge. ICE is in town. ICE and law enforcement is responding to that. How? They're getting really aggressive with the protesters. And I don't know if you saw, but in Portland, they're like taunting the protesters, spraying them in the face with bear mace. They're like laughing. I think one reporter said that they're gloating as they arrest them. Now, look, I'm not complaining about that from the point of view of a liberal. I think it's kind of funny. There's a part of me that likes to see that because these protesters are out of control. They're emboldened. Trump won the election. We have federal law enforcement. They're enforcing the damn laws. They're taking people that have no legal standing and they're removing them from the country. That's the law. And these protesters think that because they don't like it, they get to interfere and impede law enforcement, and that's not right. And so they should be arrested for obstructing. They should be subjected to less than lethal or non-lethal means of crowd control. Like, I don't have a problem with that by itself. But when the left-wing agitators see ICE being belligerent, and then they see law enforcement taunting them, there's a reaction. Whatever you think about it, like it, love it, gotta have it, whatever, there's gonna be a reaction. And so the left they're getting really militant in Chicago. So far, there's been at least 2 or 3 instances of left-wing protesters now ramming and boxing in ICE vehicles. This is not getting a ton of news coverage. But about a week ago, I think it was the end
These liberal mayors and governors need to be charged. The fact that they're allowing these illegals to cause this much havoc, these white liberals, these Antifa people that are sponsored by George Soros and these Democrat NGOs need to be arrested. They've already came out, this administration, and said they know who's funding it. Why aren't they going after these people? Why aren't they arresting them? Just like when it came to James O'Keefe and O'Keefe Media, they exposed Act Blue, the Democrat machine when it comes to funneling and trafficking money. No one's been arrested. Russia hoax. Obama, where's the arrest with that? Epstein files. We need more. And we need to just get rid of Pam Bondi altogether and bring in Matt Gaetz. That's my 2 cents.
Last week, there was an ICE truck moving through the street, and 10 vehicles surrounded the ICE car, boxed it in, and one of the protesters that boxed in the ICE car had a semi-automatic rifle. ICE jumps out of the car. They shoot her. She goes to the hospital. Chicago PD is told to stand down. ICE calls for support. They say, we need law enforcement. We're boxed in by 10 vehicles. Chicago PD says, don't respond. Don't help them. Okay? There was another instance where an SUV rammed into an ICE vehicle going fast from behind. Not hard to see where this is going. How long before the ICE detention facility is bombed? How long before ICE agents are shot, like BLM style? Like in 2015, where some left-wing nut job just lights into them. God forbid. You don't want that to happen, but you know some psycho is thinking that. Now, what is law enforcement's response? This is where we get to today. In response to the tension between ICE and the local police, the tension between ICE and the left-wing agitators, now the Department of War is activating the National Guard. And Trump is sending in hundreds of National Guardsmen to protect ICE and DHS operatives as they carry out their law enforcement duties. So now there's more federal law enforcement from Texas going against not only the left-wing agitators, but also the city police. Federal judge struck that down today. Says there's no insurrection in Chicago. There's no emergency. There's no reason for law enforcement, federal law enforcement, to deploy. No reason for the National Guard to be federalized and activated and sent in. And what I see happening is a deliberate strategy of tension. I think that someone in the White House knows what they're doing. I think that person might be Stephen Miller. I'm not sure. I don't think it's Kristi Noem. I don't think she's that smart. I think there's a deliberate strategy of tension. They're being visible. They're being belligerent. They're antagonizing the left. The left is out of control. That gives them a pretext to bring in more feds to carry out their duties. Age-old, very, very obvious principle at work here. Now, if you had somebody serious in charge of the country, I would be all over this. I might like it, because it's about time that order is restored here. There is no order. Think about how outrageous this situation is for a second. We have millions of people in America within our borders that we don't even know who they are. They have no legal standing to be here, and yet they act like they're at home. They're receiving government benefits.
Receiving free everything off our taxes. Our taxes are literally funding these illegals. They're getting top of the list when it comes to first on the list of housing. They are getting insurance. They are getting EBT. They are getting monthly payments on a card from our taxes. Top of the line when it comes to healthcare, when it comes to selection of a new place to live. And it is disgusting. This is what our especially in the state of California where I'm at, the people that run the state are idiots, and we need smarter conservatives, or just not even conservatives, because they're both sides are the same. They're literally owned by APAC. Anyways, 98% of it is. We need America first politicians only, normal everyday Americans who really know the struggle.
Work. This is our birthright to be here. We're being taxed on our labor, and that money is paying for foreign nationals that have no legal standing. And they're here, and they're taking advantage of all the public services, healthcare, education, housing, law enforcement, all of it, emergency services. It isn't right. And you have mayors and governors that are protecting these people. They're standing in the way of the federal government enforcing their constitutional powers, which is to defend the borders and the homeland against foreign invaders. So what we really do have is sort of like a soft insurrection. You've got criminals are out of control, whether they're illegal immigrants, whether it's gangbangers.
And the one thing that makes me laugh about the Democrat Party is still till this day, they bring up January 6th, the worst insurrection in history, as a talking point to say how the right wing is very violent, which I don't agree with at all. But when it comes to the left, they are committing daily insurrections. I mean, they're attacking police officers, burning down these ICE detention centers, or attempting to, attacking police on the daily. It's disgusting. Also, the transgender movement as well. That's involved, where they're grooming kids from ages the minute they get into school to the minute they graduate college. The kids are just so indoctrinated. And then you have the crazy libs with the illegals, and they're like combining forces in a way. And it's just crazy to see that. You're literally fighting for people who are taking money out of your check. Well, I mean, that's not true, because a lot of these radical liberals get paid to protest, riot, because they can't get real jobs.
Loose after they catch them. There was a big story about a black criminal that murdered a baby, and he got out after, 10 years? And they're protected by liberal state and local officials. It has to stop. And the reason that it goes on is that every time a Republican administration tries to break up the sanctuary cities or tries to go in and do something, you get the shitbag leftists that come out and protest. And these are the scum of the earth. These are anarchists. These are people with no jobs. These are straight up communists. They want the chaos. They want America to be a disgusting shithole. They want America to be a gross commune filled with disgusting, smelly people, trash, graffiti, the smell of weed, the stench of weed. They want that. And always, the Republicans they're afraid of all of it. They don't want to step on the toes of the local and state governments. They don't want to arouse the anger of the left-wing agitators. They don't want to be perceived as racist for deporting illegals or arresting blacks. So we live in this hostage situation. Our country is being held hostage by a metric shit ton of the lowest common denominator of people that really belong in prison. So we do need a tyrant by definition. And by tyrant, I don't mean someone abusing their power. I don't mean a demagogue. I don't mean somebody that is a totalitarian dictator. I mean, we need someone that is going to sort of suspend the normal operating procedure to remedy this crisis. Because we need law enforcement. That's what the president is.
I'm so glad he's talking about this. You know, one thing, Pam Bondi needs to stop sending out these worded tweets or emails, whatever. Send the damn military, and I'm talking high amounts of military in these places where you know these criminals, pedophiles, human trafficker, gang members are that shouldn't even be here. They know where the spots are, but they're allowing these like radicalized liberals, Karens, and these illegals to almost combine forces and to attack the police and ICE officers. We need to just send in a shit ton of more of our military because a lot of people are waiting. They are ready for that type of fight. I'm telling you. And it would be easy because, again, a lot of these are just people who have no jobs that are paid to cause havoc and then illegals. But I think it would be easy if you send in the Marines or the Army, any of the service members. It's just crazy that it's gotten to this point and this administration has allowed it to. Like it's like BLM 2.0, right?
Executive executes the laws, okay? The legislature writes the laws. The judicial interprets the laws. The executive executes the laws. That's where that comes from. He's the chief executive because he executes the laws on the books. Law enforcement is the president's job. So the president needs to intervene and temporarily bypass what is considered conventional or normal, maybe not necessarily illegally, but we are in a crisis. One president needs to get in the middle of it and say, look, we just can't tolerate 40 million people with no legal standing living in our country anymore and leeching off the public dole and taking advantage. We can't have left-wing agitators that hide their faces and use violence and intimidation and terror tactics to prevent law enforcement from doing its job. Like, we need to get in, really crack down on this stuff so that we can live in our cities. We need to take back control of the cities. It cannot be forfeited to lawlessness anymore. Here is the problem. Here's the rub. Is Trump the guy to do it? Is his administration competent?
Let me tell you guys, before he answers that, no. I thought Cash was going to get shit going, and what a disappointment he has been. And I mean, don't even get me started on Pam Bondi. When it comes just to the Epstein, when you lose my trust over one subject, I start questioning you on everything. That's how I am. If you're going to lie to me, I'm going to question you on everything. They're lying to us in the Epstein situations. They're telling us to believe what they told us in their own words not to believe, and then they're repeating the same lies. Yeah, I don't think they are. I do think a Thomas Massie, Marjorie Taylor Greene ticket would be, or Matt Gaetz somehow, but it just sucks because I feel like almost all of our politicians are owned through AIPAC or other countries. So it's like, who do we have on our side? I mean, the left, obviously, they got no one. But I feel like we have Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, Thomas Massie for sure. And I don't really think there's anyone else that catches my eye like that. I mean, there's some comedians who are political who I agree with. Nick Fuentes, I'd like to see him run. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Interesting topic.
Are they able? And I think the answer is no. My fear, my concern is that they are agitating the left. They are provoking the left. They're inciting the left. And the left is emboldened. They're emboldened by the media, by the governors, by the mayors. You see it, like they think the rules don't apply, and they're not afraid. And they're out there in the streets. They don't play by the rules like we do. And the Trump administration daring them, it pissing them off. He's getting into a direct confrontation with them. And if he is not willing to take it all the way and overwhelm them and decisively defeat them such that they are scattered.
Great point. Sorry to pause it when he's on fire right now, but you know they're breaking their laws. They're aiding and abetting illegals and police and ICE from doing their jobs. So if you know they're breaking these laws, selling out the locations of these apps or these phones to give out the location of ICE officers, you know the politicians are mixed up with this. Why aren't you arresting them? I mean, I just see no action. I see them, of course, taking out criminals, of course, secure the border. That's great and all, but if you're not going to be able to take out as many illegals as we need in the next 4 years, then it's all for nothing.
That the problematic ones are identified and arrested. If they're planning attacks on ICE, that's terrorism. If you've got left-wing agitators that are planning to shoot ICE, yeah, that's a problem. That's terrorism. If you're not willing to identify and arrest the leaders, scatter the sheep, mass arrests of protesters obstructing law enforcement, putting them away for 4 years so that we can finish the job, then what actually are you doing? You're creating a powder keg. You're pissing off the other side. And you're just making things worse. That's my biggest concern. Because what politics really is on some level, it's this formula. How do you activate your side without activating the other side? How do you get your people energized? And how do you get your people engaged and willing to do activism? Carry out your agenda with popular support without getting the other side so pissed off that they rally in the streets and then they come back in the next election and they send you home. And I fear that what Trump is doing, all it's doing is activating the other side, while his own side may not even fully support what he's doing, while his own administration may not be organized and competent enough to see it through. And the question is, what happens in 2028 when the left is reorganized and they have fortified themselves and they found their messaging, and the right has J.D. Vance, who is a dork and who sucks, and the Democrats win in 28? They're going to come back with a vengeance. And the way that Trump has been operating, going after James Comey, going after Letitia Jackson, going after the illegals, like, in principle, I support it. Spiritually, I support it. But if you're not willing to actually deconstruct the left and make it so that they can't come back, like really disassemble their base of power and salt the earth so that it will take a generation for them to come back, then what really are you doing other than breathing oxygen into the fire? What are you doing other than pissing them off, militating, making them militarized and energizing them so that they can come back and say, you went after Comey and Letitia Jackson. Now we are really coming after you. Your ICE thugs were punching and beating up left-wing agitators. Well, now we are going to arrest all the ICE agents. We're going to arrest all the right-wing podcasters, people like me. I really question if there's a plan here. Because historically, this is what Trump does. It's like in his first term. Trump ran in 2016, pissed everybody off, and then everything just got worse. BLM raged and just terrorized everybody, and Trump didn't stop it. The media.
That's what I'm saying. I really do feel like he's not equipped for this. And I'm a Trump voter times 3, but BLM, the whole entire last administration, he did exactly what he's doing now. They're allowing crazy shit to still go on. Sure, record low border crossings across border, but what about the people in this country right now? And you're not even using the essentials that you have as president to combat and move these criminals. I mean, I feel like it could be done so much faster and so much easier than what they're doing right now. They are allowing this to continue. And I think it's on purpose. They're trying to divide the nation because we're all waking up in regards to Israel. That's my opinion. I'm a conspiracy nut. Usually I'm right on my conspiracies. But what is the one thing they don't want you talking about right now? Israel.
Silicon Valley. They ratcheted up the censorship and Trump did nothing to stop it. Like, things actually got worse in his first term because of his lack of follow through. And I wonder, with the strategy of tension, one way this can go is it creates a pretext for that kind of convention breaking governance that can really restore order. People will have this wake up moment when they say, wow, we really do have a problem here. Like in the LA riots, when the illegal immigrants were rioting in LA and they were burning cop cars and terrorizing the city, a lot of people were saying, gee whiz, this is not a good look. Like, this is proving Trump's point. And if you take that crisis and say, in response to the riots, we're coming in heavy and we're coming in hard and we're going to isolate the leadership of the opposition and disassemble them in the way that Biden did to the J6ers and make them neutralized, then it could be a very good thing. But if Trump is not willing to do that, if he doesn't understand the enemy, if he's not willing to go all the way against the enemy, if he's going to chicken out, in other words, against Brandon Johnson and Pritzker and the federal judges, then all we're doing is pissing off the enemy and guaranteeing they're going to punch us back 1,000 times as hard, because that's what the left does. And Curtis Yarvin said something similar. He's been saying that, and I'm not his biggest fan. I don't really like him. But Yarvin sees the writing on the wall too, which is he's not coming in heavy or hard or fast enough, even just in these first 9 months, that would demonstrate a level of seriousness.
I agree. And also when it comes to Epstein, I mean, they are 100% covering it up. They are covering up for these wars and the genocide that's going on. And again, I hate both sides. I don't think we should be doing any of that, but they're covering up for that. 2, they are allowing us to almost get into wars with Iran based off Israel saying since the 90s, oh, they're 3 months away from nuclear weapons. Same shit with the Iraq war that they got us into as well. I mean, we're ignoring that. And then when it comes to the Epstein files, nothing. And then when it comes to Diddy, he's about to be released from jail. We are literally arresting no one in regards to the Russia hoax, January 6th, the 51 intelligence agencies, in regards to the Hunter Biden laptop. What did they create and manufacture? Big Pharma as well? Nothing. Literally, he had dinner with Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg weeks ago on television. They were like almost talking like they were buddy-buddy. This is not what we voted for.
To show that he's really going to be this Caesar-like figure, a transformative figure that we're going to need to guarantee the right wing's ascendancy. A new right-wing realignment, new right-wing political order. It seems like he is just accelerating the swing of the pendulum, and that it's going to swing back to the left and punch us all in the face. That's the concern. Because I see it. It's in my backyard. It's out here in Broadview, and it's chaos. Like, there's hundreds of protesters. They're ramming ICE cars. They're not afraid. And they have the backing of the governor, of the mayor, of the media. And if Trump is going to do this, hey, do it. You're right. The mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois, they're inciting terrorism. You've got actual dirtbag terrorists armed with semi-automatic rifles ramming their cars into ICE. That is attempted murder. And the governor and the mayor are doing a press conference supporting this kind of stuff. Like, you got to go all the way, Don. You got to go all the way. If the media and the Democrat governors and mayors and Antifa are all obstructing law enforcement, you got to break their backs. You got to go in hard. You got to escalate it. You have to have control over the escalation ladder. That's rule number one of any conflict. What does that mean? When I say control the ladder of escalation, it's that age-old metaphor of bringing a knife to a gunfight. You start a fight with somebody. They have a gun. You have a knife. They control the escalation. Why? Because if it turns deadly, they got you. They can control whether it goes hot or cold, whether it stops or whether it ends in bloodshed, because they have the bigger gun or the gun at all. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight because you cannot control the escalation of the fight. If it keeps escalating, you're dead because they'll shoot you in the face. Is Trump bringing a knife to a gunfight here? Is he bringing a brawl and a confrontation to the left, half-cocked, not ready to finish it, and they are obstinate? They will break the laws. They will disobey the laws. They will be riotous, anarchic. They will abuse process. And the Trump administration is constrained by federal judges, by the mayor, by the governor. You got to be willing to go all the way and summon your troops. You got National Guard in Texas that are willing to go to Chicago and enforce the laws. Chicago PD, different story. This is how we have to think. And this is like, hey, newsflash, this is like Civil War thinking. This is like constitutional crisis, political crisis thinking. That's what it's come to, because that's what this is fundamentally. You got millions of people in the country. They don't want to leave. That's a problem. You got just as many people that are governors and mayors of major states and cities. They don't want them to leave either. And they have their shock troops, their organizers, and they've got their own law enforcement, their own security forces that are willing, that are loyal to them. Starting to get it? And I seriously doubt that Trump is going to be the guy that finishes the job. I think he's too old, too tired. He just doesn't have the imagination. He is not an operator on the level of a Vladimir Putin, of a Xi Jinping, of a Franklin Roosevelt, of an Abraham Lincoln. He just is not on that level. He wants the New York Times to like him. Is he the guy that's going to bring it across the finish line, or is he the guy that's going to light the powder keg and blow everything up? I still am deeply afraid that it's the latter. So that's my hot take on these detention facilities. And don't mistake what I mean. I want the deportations. I want these left-wing agitators to be arrested. I want the governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago to be looked at for how they're not helping this situation. But if you start a fight that you're not ready to finish, it's going to get ugly for us, because we only have a few more years here. And then it's anyone's ball game. That's why I said on the Dave Smith podcast, we might need a Republican to win. And I don't want it to be Vance, but I don't want it to be a Democrat either. Because now you see what they're capable of. You know, there was this idea, we flirted with the idea, maybe we'll go with the left, maybe we'll go with the Democrats. Then a left-wing nut job shot Charlie Kirk in the face. And whether you believe that official narrative or not, and I understand many people don't, somewhat doesn't even matter. Because then 100,000 left-wing people that are real, that we know for a fact, they got on TikTok and laughed and joked and celebrated. Black people marched in the streets and said, fuck Charlie Kirk, racist garbage. Okay, so, you know, it's playing with fire, actually. Democrats coming back after.
All right, guys, that's it for the night. But he's always right. He's right on 100% of what he said. We need action, and we need it now. Otherwise, in no time. The elections, you know how they can rig them, as they've done in the past. Now we're allowed to openly speak about. They're going to figure it out. And if we don't have enough done by the time we're done as a country, they will definitely come targeting at us like they did Charlie Kirk. May he rest in peace. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Talk to you guys in the next video. Have a great night.